Hi there, welcome back to Just Making It. Today we've got a bunch of projects to do. Winter's coming and we got to get this done before we put some equipment away. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, the first project I need to work on is my sprayer. I still have it hooked up to my tractor, and I noticed when I was spraying with it in the spring and in the fall, I noticed I was having problems with the cylinder extending and retracting one of the booms on the sprayer. So I think the cylinder went bad. So what I did is I winterized this sprayer. I put antifreeze through it, drained as much water out of it as possible, because we all know what water does in the wintertime. If you don't treat it or drain it, it will break things. So what I need to do is I've got this cylinder. It's hard to see when it's all folded up like this, but there's a cylinder on this side and there's a cylinder on the other side that brings these booms in and out. I'll show you here in a minute how it works. But I took this cylinder off of this side because I didn't think it was working. So we need to put a new cylinder on and see if that was the problem. Okay, here's the cylinder that came off of the sprayer. It's this one right here. It's got the fittings on it. So I think that this cylinder's bad. So I've got another cylinder here, and we're gonna put these fittings on this cylinder, and we're gonna try this one out. It's the same size. So let's see if that was the problem. Okay, I'm just gonna do this outside. I have a workbench, but I'm just going to do this right outside. Starting to take the caps off to where these new fittings are going to go on. So let me take this other one off. And like I said, this cylinder is brand new, so there's no oil in it. Shouldn't have to worry about that. So let's see if these will come off. Oh yeah. Just got to watch the oil here. It should be fine. And a little bit in there. Okay, so we're going to put this fitting here. We're going to have it point in the same direction as it was. There we go. Now, if it isn't the problem with the cylinder, then I'm just going to keep this cylinder as a backup, and we'll just continue on with the new cylinder. So I might have a clog in the line. That could be an issue. But we're going to try to eliminate it by changing the cylinder first. Okay, now I've got the sprayer hooked up to the tractor, so I had this manually tied up. So I'm going to fold it out by hand, but normally the cylinder that we're putting on controls that. So let's go ahead and fold this out. There we go. All right, that should stay right there. Now, here's where my cylinder goes, right here. From here to here. So I got to put that cylinder on, just like the other side. Okay, what I need to do now, I've got the cylinder mounted just on the one frame here. I'm going to hook the hoses up to the cylinder. I need to extend this cylinder out to reach to this. So that's what we're going to do now. We're going to hook the hoses up just like the other side. Okay, let's tighten the other side up here. Okay, now the moment of truth. We're going to see if this extends and it retracts. So let's see what happens. Aha! There's something clogging that one line. We know it wasn't the hydraulic cylinder. So next I checked the back of the sprayer, and this is where your electric meets your hydraulics, and this is all the controls to operate the functions on the sprayer. So what I did is I found out which hoses went to the hydraulic cylinder that we put on that wasn't working, and I took the hoses off, okay? It was that one and that one. So what I did is I tested the hydraulics to see if the fluid was coming out of each line. Well, there should be fluid coming out of the out and the in on both ends whenever you hit the switch up front. It was only coming out of the one side and not the other. So I thought maybe there could be a problem in here, okay? Because when I hit the switch, I can hear it click and I can hear things working, but the fluid wasn't coming out. So that led me, so after I checked that, it led me to the electronics up front, which is in the control box of what I use to operate this sprayer with. Let's go up front and I'll show you. Okay, here's what I got. I took my box off, okay, and these are the switches that I use to operate the sprayer, which functions all the hydraulic cylinders. Now this is working electric over hydraulics, so it works like a corn chopper where you have to have your hydraulics on to power your power switches to make the functions work. So what I've noticed inside here, okay, I've had Lisa start the tractor, and what I did is I controlled my switch and I tapped these wires in the back, and I ended up having a loose wire. So that was the problem. The switch was okay because I actually bought another switch and put it in, but it was still acting up. So I had a loose connection with one of these clips here that went onto the switch. Go ahead and put the hydraulics on. I'm going to put the power on the unit, and I'm going to use the control. It'd be that arm right there. I need to go in and out. Okay, so I'm going in, and now I'm going to go out. There you have it. It works. Okay, now I'm going to go in. I'm going to go out. There you go. Okay, so we ended up changing this cylinder, all right, and we knew that wasn't the problem. So I went to the back of the unit where it met the electronics. That wasn't a problem. So we went up front, we checked the switch out, and what did I end up doing? I ended up just tightening or clipping together these wires a little bit tighter to the switch to make that work. I guess in other words, you could call that process of elimination. What's this stuff? It's November 10th, the first snowfall. Usually we get our snowfall, the first one, around Halloween. But it's November 10th, and it's like in the 30s right now, windy. So here's my next project I want to show you. It's going down to Little Green here, we call the 5300 John Deere. And what we need to do, we need to change the coolant heater right here. Or you can call it like a block heater. It comes out, the coolant comes out, goes through here. This heats up so we could start this thing in the wintertime. The reason why I'm changing this heater is that when I went to go plug it in, I saw sparks flying. And I figured, you know what? The cord is burnt underneath. I'm going to go ahead and change the whole thing. So I got another one right here from John Deere. And I'm going to put this on. It's pretty much the same thing. So all we got to do is exchange it. And these things work pretty good. I mean, you know, if it's below 30 degrees, 25 degrees, let's say, that's when we'll plug it in. But if it's above 30, we should be able to start it. So let's get started. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to start out doing is we're going to jump right in and we're going to take this hose off here and we're going to drain whatever's in here. And then we'll take this hose off here and drain that, whatever coolant's in there. And then we'll just go ahead and loosen this nut up. This clamp comes off and just put the new one right in. Alright. We're just going to let that coolant drain right in my bucket. It'll probably be most of it. I'm going to put fresh in because it's actually been in there. It's about due for a change anyways. Okay, as you can see, it's still draining a little bit, dripping. Now we're going to take this top off, and I should be able to pull it right off. We'll see here. There's going to be a little bit more coming out. Almost. There we go. All right. Bend this clamp back a little bit. Pull it out. There you go. There's the old one. And here's the new one. We're just going to put it right on the way we took it off. I'm going to put new clamps on this time though. They give you a nice long cord on it. And, you know, for people out there that don't know exactly what this does, you plug this into an outlet. You can give it about an hour, 2 hours. You can plug it in all night if you want, but it'd probably be hard on the electric. And what this does is it just has heating coils inside, and the coolant circulates, and it goes into the engine block, it warms it up, and it'll cause the diesel to start up in cold weather. So you really need these on every tractor. I think if you don't have really good glow plugs or glow plugs on a tractor, you definitely need one of these to start in cold weather. It's a real tight fit, but it fits. There we go. There we go. These are the good ones. These are from John Deere. So it's got to be good, right? All right, we're tightening the hose clamps. A little bit more here. We're good there. Put the clamp on. Push that all the way in if you can. We're going to tighten the bottom clamp. Okay, now all I got to do is tighten the clamp to the heater and draw that tight against the tractor there. And it should not move. I'm gonna have to put coolant in the tractor because I took a good maybe 2.5 gallons out. So we're gonna put it right down the radiator, and then we're gonna fill the reserve. I'm gonna run it, let it circulate, get it through that canister and those lines, then we'll check the coolant again. Should have a funnel. Okay, so we put some of that in our reserve. Let's go ahead and start it up, and we're gonna let it circulate. Check for leaks. No leaks there, not yet anyways. We're good. Okay, here's one of the most important things that you can do after you put your block heater on is they give you a lot of cord here and it will hang down. You want to brace it up real good. I got a zip strip right there. You don't want that cord to hang down and catch on things. You'll rip this off. Then you'll have to put a new plug on or buy a new heater. Okay, I just plugged in the heater, put the power cord to it. So how you know these work is you'll hear it snapping and cracking, and it's heating up. So let's see if we can hear anything here. Usually takes a minute or so. Oh yeah, I can hear it. Take my glove off here and let's test it. Oh yeah, nice and hot. That's how you want it. The next project I got to work on is on the 6405 tractor behind me. How many people buy a tractor, whether it be used or new, and through time your gauges malfunction, whether it be the fuel gauge, the heat gauge, what have you. So let me show you what I got going on here on this tractor. Okay, so I'm sitting on my 6405 right now, and we're looking at the dashboard, and another name for the dash is an instrument cluster. This is the fuel gauge here, and this is my heat gauge, and then the RPMs. Well, I have a crack in the dash right here, and the fuel gauge is stuck behind this little post. I don't know if you could see it all that well. There's a post there. Well, the needle is on the opposite side. And I took this dash off once before, and I put it on the other side of that needle, and it actually spun around. It went the other way, and it keeps hitting that. So that's a problem I got. And then when I turn the key on the tractor, the heat gauge here should be reading cool. Well, as soon as I turn the tractor on, this needle goes to red. So I'm getting a false reading there. So apparently, through time, your dashboard gauges, they actually go bad. So we're going to go ahead and change this one out. Okay, first thing I got to do is take these little screws out of the corner here. There's 4 of them, one in each corner. These tabs pull out. And I assume that a lot of people out there have the same issues that I have. And sometimes you just say, well, I'm going to live with it. I'll just keep looking in my fuel tank and making sure that there's fuel in there, but you never know how much exactly you got. Okay, got all 4 screws out. Now the dash should come off. There we go. I'm going to show you what it looks like behind this dash. There's a lot of wires. And this is what it looks like. It's pretty much just all plugs right here. Now I got to take this base off, the actual dash. I got 8 screws to take off here. Okay, now I'm going to pull the instrument cluster off out of the frame of it. There's what it looks like. This is the part that I ordered from John Deere. So I'm going to go get the new one. We're going to come back and we're going to match these plugs up. I just want to say too, I tried to hook up a separate temperature gauge on this tractor, and I had a hard time because of the threads and all, and it just didn't work out for me. So I had to give in and I had to buy this new instrument cluster. And I just want to warn you, this was over $1,000 at John Deere. So they're not cheap. Okay, so let's go ahead and switch the wires around. Let's just do one at a time. They just pull out. There we go. There we go. There we are. Okay. So there's the old one. And there's the new one. Now, you're going to, okay, now I just want to say too, my hours are digital on this. So when I go to change this, what's it going to do? I'm going to have 0 hours on this tractor. So that means I could sell it for a lot of money. No. Cosmetically, just looking at this tractor, you could tell that it's got some hours on it. 4,000 to be exact. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and plug all these in. All right, that's all there is to it. Make sure they're in real good. Everything's plugged in. Now what I'm going to do is start the tractor up and just make sure all this works. Let's get on here. Let's make sure. I'm going to start it up. Okay, the lights work. It's telling me how much fuel I got into it. Boy, that's nice to read now. And let's see what the temperature gauge does. There you go. The temperature gauge should be down at the bottom. You know, before, like I said, it'd go all the way up to red. So we'll let it run a little bit here. You can see I'm reading 0 on the number of hours on this tractor. You know, I also noticed the RPM gauge should be working. It wasn't working on that one. It seemed like every now and then I'd get a reading, but you could see it's not really working. We're going to give it a little time here. Yeah, that should be going up. That could be another issue on the tractor that I'd have to look at. It might not have to do with the dash. So, yep, I got my fuel gauge working, and it looks like this is going to work good. So let's go ahead and shut the tractor off. Let me turn it back on once. Okay. All right, so we know that works. You know, like I said, though, the RPM gauge wasn't working, but that could be a problem on the other end. So let's go ahead and put this back together. And this old gauge is history here. This old instrument cluster is history. So, and there you have it. Putting a brand new dash on a 6000 series John Deere. The most important gauge is your temperature gauge. That is scary, driving a tractor when it's 90 degrees out and you don't know what it's reading. Sometimes you got to do the process of elimination. You got to start at the beginning until you find your way to the problem. I just want to say thanks again for watching Just Making It. We'll see you next time. So, you really need these on every tractor. I think if you don't have really good glow plugs or glow plugs on a tractor, you definitely need one of these to start in cold weather.